Mailbag. That's the whole thing.
Do you want to do that like at the end, or do you want to do that like after your one last thought
No. This is a good.
before it?
It's a good discussion. It's
Okay.
something you guys would be interested in. It's a
Okay.
potential move.
All right, we're good to go.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tater Talk. It's episode 51. We're back after a little bit of off-season action. I think we got about 70-something days until opening day. You guys want to know how I know that? How it's 70-something days? Anyone want to take a stab at it, or should I just let you know?
Let us know.
Yeah. So the Red Sox, they tweeted out the most obnoxious tweet that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't know if you guys saw it, but now that we have the, I think, what is it, 280 characters? Is that what it is? 280 character limit. They decided it would be a good idea to count down 79 days till opening day. And they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They spaced it out. They hit 1 and hit the return key, 2, return key, 3, all the way down to 79 days left till opening day. So that's what the Red Sox are up to this offseason, is making the worst tweets of all time. That's how I know, though, that there is a little bit less than 79 days left. So if you guys wanted that update, just figured I'd let you guys know.
Whoever runs the Red Sox Twitter is such a nerd. Like, they're so bad at their job. I hate to say that because I hate calling for other people's jobs, but
they're bad.
Especially if it's the same person that was managing it after the Stanton thing. It was like rivalry with Fire Flames.
Even worse. Yeah.
You guys just don't get it.
You guys are. I'm not calling for that guy's job. That guy has nothing to tweet about. Talk about your front office first. I don't blame that guy at all. What else is he supposed to do?
Good point,
Red Sox Twitter, though, they need to just stay silent. They can't be counting down from 79 days till opening day. They need to just let us know if anything notable happens. 79 days to opening day, there was no reason to tweet that. None. I can see like 50. Once you get to the 50 mark, 79 is absurd. That's just, you're asking for it at that point.
Yeah, I was actually looking through the Red Sox schedule today. I'm trying to plan like a little bit of a trip. They're playing Houston in Houston, like third week of the season. I think I might make the trek, just check out, what the Astros have to give this year.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm heading to San Diego next month, so I'm going to get a nice little tour of Petco Park. That's going to be a good one. I've heard nothing but good things about that place. About the Padres is a different story, but that they play in a nice park, so I'm looking forward to that. So let's just jump into the topics here, and by topics I mean pretty much just off-season activity or lack thereof. We did have a couple of notable things this week, so maybe it's starting to heat up. The name of our last episode was "The Stove is Lit," referring to the hut stove. It has very much not been lit since then, so let's just get down to it. Let's start with Yonder Alonso to the Cleveland Indians. Not one we have to really stay on for a long time, but he did have a really good 2017 season. Definitely by far the best season of his career. Good bat to have in the lineup. Now, the Indians, this was sort of to compensate for the loss of Carlos Santana, who is on the Phillies. What did you think of this move? Do you think it was a good replacement? Do you have any gripes with it? I'll start with you, Zach.
Yeah, I give it an A. I'm a big Yonder Alonso guy. I think his swing fits that ballpark too. Like, that's, if you're a lefty in that ballpark, I mean, you're just going to be exponentially better, as you saw with Santana. I think he even underachieved a little last year. Alonso, once he got traded to the Mariners, he was absolutely terrible.
Right.
But he was great previously. So I mean, I can only see him going up and up with the Indians. I think it's a solid replacement for Carlos Santana, who, like, sneaky was a big part of their team and their offense.
Graz, what do you think?
I'm not a fan of Alonso. I just like those A's players. They come in and I have the Giambi taste still in my mouth. It's been years, but I still have that same flavor.
I don't hate it as a replacement for Carlos Santana because I think Carlos Santana is wildly inconsistent. He's a solid bat, no doubt about that. But Yonder Alonso, I think he can give you the same type of production, at least at the plate, that you were getting from Carlos Santana. If you're the Indians, I think that was probably your best and cheapest option, right? Like, out of everyone available, it was just like, okay, this will be sort of the fill-in guy for Carlos Santana. So I don't hate it from that standpoint. I'd probably give it like a B+ or something because it's not overwhelming or anything, but I get the move.
I mean, if he's hitting like 7th or 8th in your lineup, that's a pretty strong lineup still.
Yeah, totally. He'll hit 20 plus bombs this year, probably with like a 250 batting average, something like that. I don't know. He's not like a game changer, but he's a good addition to a lineup that lost the power bat in the offseason. So, nice little replacement. Wade Davis to the Colorado Rockies, Zach. I think we predicted this in the last episode. We were saying, given little scenarios, trying to predict where Wade Davis would go. And the Rockies have been very active with getting bullpen help. I forget who else they got. They got a couple other arms in there. I don't know if you could refresh my memory on that, but they did bolster that bullpen a little bit. Wade Davis played for the Cubs last year, was on the Royals before that. He hasn't slowed down really. I mean, he's had some down moments, but he was just as good, if not better, actually, last season in games that it mattered for the Cubs. So now he's on the Rockies. That bullpen is going to be tough to mess with. We're going to get to the Giants a little bit because they've improved their entire roster actually this offseason so far compared to last year. So, but the Rockies are keeping up in that NL West. So I expect the Rockies to be competitive next year. What did you think of this move, Zach? Wade Davis to the Rockies?
Yeah, I think it's a great move for them because it fills a need, obviously, with Holland moving on. I did think they overpaid. I mean, that contract, Jesus. I mean, if that starts what's going for relievers, I can only imagine what's going to go for like someone that's like literally shut down, like a Kimbrel type.
Right.
After the season last year. But like you said, they re-signed McGee. They signed Brian Shaw from the Indians too. So I think they solidified their bullpen as much as they can. I mean, starting pitching still a concern, which I mean, they haven't really made a move to do that. But yeah, there's sort of an arms race going on in the NL West, and it'll be interesting to see where the Rockies fit in there.
I think I know this isn't anything to do with relievers or anything, but sticking with the Rockies, I think this was a very underrated signing. I'm pretty sure they brought back Mark Reynolds, who has been unbelievable, who was unbelievable for him last year. No one expected Mark Reynolds to be what he was last season for the Rockies. So they're keeping their guys the same formula for the type of team that they had last year. A really good bullpen. Their starting staff is always going to be an issue unless they make some sort of trade. I don't think they're going to get many free agent starters in the near future. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I don't know, but the Rockies seem to have the same formula as last year. Now, are they going to make it deep into the playoffs? Probably not. They showed this past year that they're probably not capable of it yet. If those rookies can take a step forward, I believe in what they're doing, but they definitely need a couple of new pieces on top of all the stuff that they've done with their bullpen.
On the Mark Reynolds front, I just searched his name. 1 hour ago, the Denver Post wrote, Mark Reynolds wants to return to the Rockies, but at the right price.
Oh, what the fuck? He didn't go back?
So he says he's looking for a guaranteed big time deal.
What the hell? I thought he went back to the Rockies. Okay, so that just voided that entire point. But whatever. Mark Reynolds, I hope he's back in a Rockies uniform because he was the definition of a guy who performed at Coors Field. Like once he went to Coors, he was hitting moon shots like 500 feet. So, Graz, what did you think about Wade Davis to the Rockies?
I love Wade Davis to the Rockies. It's exactly what they needed. They needed a guy at the end of that bullpen that could come after guys. And on the Mark Reynolds front, he finished third in home run distance, average home run distance.
That's what I'm saying. Once he went to Coors, he was hitting rockets.
It was like Stanton, Judge, and Mark Reynolds. I was doing something with them two the other day, and it came up that Mark Reynolds was hitting dingers, so he should go back. But
who did Reynolds?
Definitely.
Who did Reynolds play for right before the Rockies? The Cardinals. I think he was on the Cardinals for a year.
He was an Oriole for a while too.
He's been on a lot of teams, and he's had some years where he's been absolutely terrible. So he had a resurgent year with the Rockies. I thought he was back with the Rockies, but I guess not. So I hope he rejoins them and has the same type of year because we're all Rockies guys. We want them to be successful, and that part of that might be bringing Mark Reynolds back in that lineup. So we'll move on to the next one here. Jay Bruce is back to being a Met. He went to the Indians at the end of last season. But no, he's back on the Mets. I don't hate this move because if you're a Mets fan, you needed something to happen. I know it's not like a flashy signing or anything like that, but the Mets getting Jay Bruce, I think was necessary. It was the only choice at this point for them. They're not going to finish up like at the top of the NL East or anything like that. It's going to be the same type of thing with them. Maybe they improve a little bit if they can stay healthy in the rotation. Other than that, I don't have high expectations, but I don't hate the move.
Yeah, like Mets fans are the most delusional people in the country. Like they think they're going to be in for all these free agents. Like, why would they come there? You're a mess of an organization. So I think this signing of Jay Bruce, you know, he was good for them last year. I just don't know where he fits in the outfield, to be honest. I mean, they have Cespedes, Nimmo, who they really like. They're trying to trade him, I heard.
Conforto.
And Conforto. So I don't know where Bruce fits in there. Maybe first base. He's never played first, but
yeah, you know, a little bit of platooning, action, I'm sure.
But they also signed Adrian Gonzalez too. So like I don't know where all these guys are going to play. There's no DH, so we'll see how they use him. But I think it's a solid contract and a pickup for the Mets just based on them needing a power bat.
Graz, what do you think?
The New York take is Mets fans are way too excited about Jay Bruce. They're thrilled about Jay Bruce.
Well, they have nothing else to be excited about. That's the thing. Like Adrian Gonzalez was their other move. So we'll talk about that one. But Jay Bruce is the most exciting thing to happen in the Mets in the past like 2 years. And that just goes to show like what the state of the Mets is.
Yeah.
So back to Adrian Gonzalez. This has Mets written all over it, this one. No one really wanted him anymore. He's definitely not. He's way past his prime. He hasn't been in his prime for at least 2 or 3 years now. But I think it was so the Braves got him and immediately released him in a trade with the Dodgers. Of course, the Mets are just picking up the Braves trash. Like, of course, that's what's going on here. So I expect Adrian Gonzalez. I don't even know if he lasts the whole season with the Mets. I think this is going to be we're going to look back and be like, Adrian Gonzalez got signed to the fucking Mets. Remember that when that happened? That's what I took away from it.
I honestly thought like after he got cut from the Braves that like every team in the MLB was just going to mutually agree to just let him like retire, like just walk. He's like an injured horse that you just put out to the pasture. Like, all right, let's just let him go on. But the Mets are like, no, we really need you, Adrian, for some god awful reason. So we'll see where that goes. It has disaster written all over it, though.
That front office makes absolutely zero sense to me. Some of the shit that they do, it's just like, Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, it's a name. Sign him to this stupid ass contract.
Put him on the program. Put him on the opening day program.
Unbelievable. Roz, anything on Adrian?
I completely disagree with you guys. I think you absolutely take a flyer on Adrian Gonzalez. Why the hell not? Everyone gets hurt on your team. You might as well get some depth. And just doing research, they signed him for $545,000. You might as well. If he hits like 12 dingers this year, he hit 12 more dingers than you.
That's too much. That's too much money. They're trying to rebuild Graz. Like they have Dom Smith at first base, and they're going to bring in Gonzalez, who can't even run.
If you watched Dom, I don't know up there in New England. If you watched Dom Smith at first base, then you would have absolutely signed Adrian Gonzalez.
Have you seen Adrian Gonzalez play first base?
Well, that's why they brought Jay Bruce in, because he's going to platoon at first base.
Yikes!
I don't know.
There's a log jam at first base. There's a log jam.
I think Roz makes a good point. 545K is not a lot, but going off of that, I think the big reason why the Mets brought Gonzalez onto their team is because he's a quote unquote clubhouse guy. I'm sorry. I don't want a guy going around in the clubhouse, telling every guy, like patting them on the back, saying it was all part of God's plan. Don't worry about it. Like, just brush it off. God will lead you wherever you're supposed to go. I don't want that in my clubhouse. I want we shit on Pedroia a lot on this podcast, but I want a Pedroia to be like, hey, figure it the fuck out. Let's go. Let's win some ball games. I don't want a Gonzalez walking around because we saw firsthand in New England what Adrian Gonzalez, he was a fantastic player. That's when he was in his prime, and we still didn't fucking want the guy.
The thing is, with the clubhouse guy, which I completely agree with, every team needs a clubhouse guy, is you look around and you're like, oh, wait, if I just spend like $8 million, I can get the best clubhouse guy on the market in my boy and future Yankees All-American Todd Frazier.
Yeah.
That's who you should have gotten if you're looking for close guy. And wait, who's playing third base for the Mets? Oh, yeah, a 98-year-old David Wright, or no one we've ever heard of. So,
yeah.
They had Jose Reyes at third last year. People forget that.
The whole David Wright thing is mind-blowing to me. I will never understand. I mean, I get it. He's Captain America. That used to be his nickname. I don't know if he's still considered that or not, but Captain America. He's been your prize third baseman for years. He's the face of your franchise. It's basically him and like Piazza. Those are your two faces of your franchise, your history. So I get it. Keeping a guy like that's important to a point, but you got to know when to just let go and get a guy like Frazier, who not only is going to give you more, stability at third base, But I mean, he's a good clubhouse guy, a good player in general. So it's the whole David Wright saga is one of the more frustrating things. If you're a Mets fan, that has to be one of the more frustrating things you could ever go through.
How sad is it that he's like the face of their franchise? To me, like David Wright's one of the biggest disappointments like ever. He started out so good in his career, and then he just had injuries and went downhill so quick.
He was so good though. Like for the time when he was healthy, he was actually one of my favorite players because like he was on the cover of MLB The Show. He was like that. He was named Captain America. I can't stress that enough. He was like the guy for like he was the face of baseball maybe for a couple of years, and then his whole career was just derailed from injuries. So, if you're the Mets, just move the fuck on, basically. And Adrian Gonzalez is not moving on. That's just I don't know what you're doing there. So let's move on to Addison Reed, another guy that Red Sox fans have had front row seats to see is Addison Reed to the Minnesota Twins. I like this move a lot for the Minnesota Twins. Also a former Met, Addison Reed. But if you're the Twins, you needed this because now you got Kinsler's gone. He's with the Nationals. He's staying there. You needed someone to go in there and fill the void. And I think Addison Reed, while he had a little bit of struggles with the Red Sox, I think he can go to a low pressure place like Minnesota and succeed. So that's the way I look at that.
Yeah, perfect move. Guy just fits in with like Minnesota. He seems like he's quiet and just kind of goes about his business. So it'll be perfect there. He doesn't have to close because they signed Rodney. We'll see how that works out. I could see Reed closing by the end of the season because I think Rodney's like, one or two pitches away from just, snapping his arm with all the innings he's pitched. But yeah, perfect move. They did have to pay a good price, but I think, a good reliever on the market's going to get that nowadays.
I also think there's a good chance. I mean, I like the move. I want that on record. The move, it's on paper, a great move for the Twins. But him and Rodney together in the same bullpen could be problematic because those are two wildly inconsistent players or relievers in your bullpen. And both can be really good for an entire season. Like that's completely possible, but both could just be train wrecks this year. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Graz, anything?
They're the Twins. They're more excited about Stephon Diggs right now.
You're right. Yeah, that's that's very fair. Don't ever bring football up on Tater Talk ever again, Graz. Jesus Christ. On to the Blue Jays here. Curtis Granderson to the Blue Jays. This is the most non-story to me. I know I like it can't. You want to talk about past your prime. Curtis Granderson is past his prime. But another former Met. This is a very Met-centric podcast. This is a sad podcast if you're a Mets fan. But Curtis, the Blue Jays needed outfield help. I don't think this really answers their question. He'll probably be a depth guy, but what do you guys got on this? Anything at all?
I mean, he'll probably play a little bit of right field right now. They have that Teoscar Hernandez guy who's like unproven, so sure he'll see some time. I've always really liked Granderson, even when he's on the Yankees and the Mets. I just think he's a solid like clubhouse guy. I think he's got a good personality. I think he'll actually help the Blue Jays in that right. He seems like a positive guy. And the Blue Jays have been wildly inconsistent. They always underachieve with their talent. So hopefully he can help, wake some of these guys up and get them playing like to their prime, which they did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I highly doubt that's going to happen. I mean, the Blue Jays in the AL East this year, I really don't. They're probably the most unpredictable team of the bunch. I think it's this year in the AL East, it's Yankees, Red Sox, and I think all like Orioles, Blue Jays, Rays are all going to be fucking horrible this season. That's just the way I look at it. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but
I have my hot take in the Blue Jays is they're going to, by the deadline, move Estrada, Stroman, or both of them.
What about Donaldson? I know they got him in arbitration this year, but I don't see that future lasting very long.
I just think the starting pitching market during the year is always way more intense than a third baseman.
Yeah.
Also, I will absolutely guarantee on this podcast, you heard it here first, that Granderson will hit a clutch game-winning home run against both the Yankees and the Red Sox this year. I can guarantee that right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. Well, he's a clutch guy, but
he will. It's true. Right over them. He's going to hit one, right around pesky pole. You're going to be upset. It's going to be off, Kimbrel. You're going to be furious about it. It's some stupid game in May that really doesn't matter.
He's going to be off the team by July. Granderson. He's going to be on waivers, or they're going to trade him for like peanuts.
That's an even crazier take.
It's crazy to me though that the Blue Jays and the Orioles have pretty much the same rosters they've had for like the past 3 years, and they either make the playoffs or they're absolutely terrible. Like there's no in between. Like they either make the playoffs or they're just terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. By the way, Jose Bautista still hasn't signed anywhere. So me saying that he's played his last year in baseball, not the craziest take anymore. I mean, you know, maybe he'll sign. I think I said he's going to go to the A's if he had to go to a team. I could totally see that going to the Oakland A's.
By the way,
Bautista.
I hate this trend of like guys waiting to sign now until like almost spring training starts. It's terrible. Like for MLB as a whole, it's terrible for their offseason because it doesn't get that buzz that we used to have with like the winter meetings and everyone would sign. Now guys are waiting till the end. It just sucks. It just leaves you hanging pretty much.
It's weird because the trade deadline and the offseason in baseball used to be, for me, like in my opinion, the most entertaining thing ever. I thought like signings in baseball and trades in baseball were fucking awesome because they were just constant. I mean, it's amazing to see how much that's changed because we're not going to see the main guys sign, the main free agents this season until probably like late February, mid-February, if we're lucky. So I don't know. It's very unfortunate. It's been a slow-ass offseason. We're going to get to JD Martinez and Eric Hosmer soon, but for now, a couple big moves that actually did happen. Very surprising that they happened because of how slow this offseason's been. Garrett Cole to the Houston Astros, bolstering that rotation even more. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about Garrett Cole because this is a guy who he burst out the gate in his rookie year and he had a couple good seasons, but I think he's had an ERA over 4 his past 2 seasons, which is a little bit alarming. I don't know if you expect that to improve in Houston, but I think he's been given a good chance on a staff that is. I think he's going to be like probably second or third on this pitching staff, right? But I mean, he's going to be probably third behind Keuchel and Verlander. So that 1, 2, 3 is as scary as it gets if Cole is the guy we saw in his first 2 years. And those are guys who can mentor him and kind of like, hey, like this is how you get out of this rut. So I think it's going to help him. But I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, I think it puts the Astros as the favorite again in the AL to repeat. I mean, I think that will help him, like you were saying, Justin, that he doesn't have to be the number one guy. I mean, in Pittsburgh, the buck stopped with him. Like after Garrett Cole, there was pretty much just a lot of really bad pitchers in back of him. But now he's got Verlander, Keuchel. Let's say McCullers has a bounce back year. Charlie Morton was like lights out last year. I mean, that's a 5 that you do not want to face. I mean, they could go on some winning streaks this year that could be, pretty unprecedented. I think Cole's a workhorse, though. He'll give you the innings. So I think it's a great move for the Astros. Again, like this is what the Red Sox don't do that these other teams are doing. Like Astros won the World Series, but they know they have to like make an improvement to their team, and they go out and get Cole. So I think it's a great move by Houston. Props to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta say it's impressive how they keep finding, like, getting all of these players. Like, how many prospects did the fucking Astros have? I'm getting really sick and tired of all these Astros things.
Yeah.
I didn't actually want the Yankees to get him. I didn't really want him to move in general, but now that the Astros got him, I'm kind of mad about it. But he's a guy that when you slot him in as a 3-starter, you're like, wow, that's a good 3-starter. That's someone I want to throw game 3 in a series.
Well, that's the thing. He's an ace on a lot of teams. And then you look at Charlie Morton, he's a number 3 guy probably on a lot of teams, but he's your 5th guy in Houston. That's fucking great if you're an Astro. So the Astros are scary as hell. I mean, I think we'd all be making a mistake if we didn't say the Astros were favorites in the AL to make it to the World Series and potentially win it all again. So we could be looking at a repeat here because I think they are on paper the most talented team by a landslide. I don't think it's really that close. I know the Yankees have the best lineup, like bar none, but the Astros lineup is they're no slouches either. I think people are sleeping on the Astros again, and I don't really know exactly why.
It's because
I mean the Astros have like guys that'll put in at bats. I mean, the Yankees have a lot of power, no doubt, but I just think the Astros have like better hitters all around in their lineup.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I was going to say too. And not to mention the reason I watch the Astros is that no one really pays attention to the Astros, sadly, even though they have 2 of the coolest players on the planet. And even though I'm still salty about what they did to my Yankees, Altuve's the man. And if you don't like Carlos Correa, then I don't know what the hell you're watching, because Carlos Correa is legit the coolest person in the MLB. Also,
yeah,
I want to put it on complete wax. I can't believe you guys disrespected the lethal Pirates rotation after Garrett Cole with Francisco Liriano and AJ Burnett. How dare you?
Oh my God, that rotation was something else. But I miss AJ Burnett. AJ Burnett was like one of my sneaky. I don't want to say like favorite players, but I always just enjoyed watching AJ Burnett. Something about AJ.
He was a gamer. Like, just he'll take the ball, just fucking chuck with a lip in. Like,
he was never great, but he was just never bad. He was just always like, all right, it's AJ Burnett. Let's get like 7 innings out of him. He'll allow 3 or 4 runs, and then we'll see how the bullpen does. AJ Burnett was a gamer, and Francisco Liriano, I completely forgot that he's a World Series champ now. So that's something else. He was on the Astros last year, so.
You guys are
people forget that.
You got to bring up the best AJ Burnett stat of all time, where he threw the no hitter with 10 walks. He walked 10 people and threw no hitter.
That's right.
It was like 160 pitches. It was one of my favorite things when he was on the Marlins when I was a kid.
That's right. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, AJ Burnett was something else. So like rest in peace, AJ Burnett. I guess not dead, but might as well be. So we'll move on here to Andrew McCutchen. This was the big one, and more Pirate stuff. Andrew McCutchen to the San Francisco Giants. Did anyone see this coming? Because I sure as hell did. I thought it was actually pretty shocking. So McCutchen to the Giants. So he joins a lineup that now has Evan Longoria, Buster Posey, Hunter Pence. That's pretty much the heart of their lineup now. Now, the real question here is, do you think that this is actually going to be a productive lineup this season, or do you think McCutchen, Longoria, those guys are sort of past their prime and we're not really going to get the production that a lot of people expect?
Yeah, I didn't see this coming either. I mean, after Cole got moved, I was like, okay, the Pirates could be like having a fire sale, just rebuilding, which it's clear that they're doing now.
Absolutely.
I mean, McCutchen will go into right. Pence will probably move to left. Like you said, I'm a little bit worried about some of these guys being on the back 9 of their career. It seems like the Giants are going all in because they traded their stud Arroyo and they traded a stud pitching prospect in this deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a bold strategy for them. They need their pitching to get back to A+ status for them to get back. And I think this lineup has just enough to get them to the promised land if the pitching is up to snuff.
I just want to congratulate the 2013 World Series champion in this lineup. This is a 2013 unbelievable team. They'll be okay. The whole thing that they're resting on is the fact that they didn't have Bumgarner last year for most of the year. And they're like, we'll get our guy back. And Bumgarner is probably my favorite pitcher in baseball. And if they get that guy back, and every 5th day you get to throw him, and you have a lineup that's okay and not terrible, you have a chance to win, at least get a wild card spot.
I don't know if the Giants, this is still a playoff team though. That NL West is going to be pretty tough this season. I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to overtake, I mean, definitely not the Dodgers. I don't know if they're going to be able to overtake the Rockies and the Diamondbacks again this season. I don't know if I could see that because like we were just saying, they are on the back 9 of their career, Longoria and McCutchen. If McCutchen has a bounce back year and becomes even close to his MVP self, then, I mean, we could be looking at something different because him and Posey is pretty lethal. Longoria is not the same guy. So I don't know. It's the Giants, in my opinion, might actually be the weirdest team this season to watch. That like just the way their roster is constructed is very strange to me. And I think they might be the toughest team to predict.
They also still have Pablo Sandoval sitting out there. So we'll see what happens with him. I mean, Longoria coming in means pretty much the end for him at third base, I would imagine.
Who is going to be the Giants center fielder? That's the real question. I don't know who plays center field in the Giants right now or if anyone has won that job yet. I could see them. I don't really know their payroll situation right now, but I could see the Giants going after like a Lorenzo Cain, someone like that, maybe to hold down center field. Again, don't know their money situation, but that could be a guy they go after. I know they were going after Billy Hamilton for a while. We'll see if those trade talks heat up. But again, one of the weirder teams in baseball, the way that roster is constructed.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good strategy what they're doing if they keep having to give up prospects for these guys to try to piece it together. Because as you said, they're probably the 3rd best team in the NL West, maybe the 4th if JD goes back to the Diamondbacks. So
right, yeah. That's what I was kind of hinging that on with the Diamondbacks if JD goes back, because if he doesn't go back, they're missing a huge bat in that lineup. I mean, they still got like Goldschmidt and all those guys, but when they had those guys, they were finishing still like 4th place in the NL West. So they do need that extra guy. But yeah, no, it's just interesting. Again, I don't think this is a playoff Giants team yet. They might need 1 or 2 more moves to really move themselves into position, because I'm not sold on McCutchen and Longoria, simply because they haven't given me a reason to be sold. So unless we got anything more on that, we can move on to that summed up signings and trades. That's all that's gone down, if you can believe it, since our last episode, which was like 3 weeks ago or something like that. So let's just talk about offers, things that haven't been offered yet, all that good stuff. Just guys who are still out there. Actually, just 2 guys in particular, starting with Eric Hosmer. Now, you guys laughed at me when I suggested that he could go to the Padres. And lo and behold, Eric Hosmer has a 7-year offer on the table from the San Diego Padres for, I don't have the exact amount in front of me, but it's at least $100 million over 7 years. So he's got that offer, but the Royals offered him a 7-year contract that's worth slightly more. So gun to head, Zach, you have to pick one that he's going to choose: the San Diego Padres or go back to the Kansas City Royals. Which one do you think it's going to be? Or do you think there's going to be a mystery team that swoops in and takes him from both of those guys?
No, I think it's going to be, I think he's going to go back to the Royals. I'm just putting myself in his situation. I mean, the Royals are better than the Padres right now. I think that's safe to say. And it's a place where he's respected. And, if he spends his whole career with them, I mean, and he maybe they get to another World Series and maybe win one, I mean, he's going to go down as like, maybe one of the best Royals players ever, if not the best, if he improves on his numbers a bit. So I think he has a chance to land a legacy. And with Hosmer, the way he talks in interviews and him as a leader, I think he finds value in that. So I think he'll go back to the Royals if I had to guess. But it is interesting that the Padres are in on him. I'm not sure what their angle is there. Whether they just want to make a splash as they do every couple years, but it will be one of these things. If the Hosmer signs with the Padres, they'll end up trading him like next year.
So here's the thing: before we get to Graz here, I have just 2 questions. The first one being, do you actually? I mean, the Royals lost Lorenzo Cain, Mike Moustakas, Alcides Escobar, and I don't know if that's it. Obviously Hosmer. But so losing all those guys, Hosmer returns though. Do you still think the Royals are better than? I know the Padres are trash, but you got to believe the Royals are going to be significantly worse. Do you think the Royals still have a better team than the Padres?
I think, let me say it this way: I think they have an easier road to the playoffs because I think the Padres are in a tough division and the NL is better stacked. So I think the Royals have a chance to get like a second wild card, maybe. I mean, that's not great, but the Royals usually are aggressive at the deadline if they need something, so maybe they'll go out and get something to build on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And my second question is more directed towards Graz here. So I think on the last podcast, you said that Lorenzo Cain would be the guy who goes back to the Royals out of all those guys. So have you changed your tune on that at all? Do you think it's Hosmer who's going back?
I might be now, but I'm still leaning toward Lorenzo Cain would be the guy because I didn't expect the Royals to give in and give Eric Hosmer the money that he kind of deserves at 28. That's why I said that originally because I thought Hosmer would get, like exactly that offer from the Padres, 7 years, 150, something in that range. And I never thought the Royals would man up and try to pay that.
That's their guy.
And I guess that what I've learned from this is that the Royals think Eric Hosmer is their guy and not Lorenzo Cain.
Yep. And so I think like I tend to agree. I kind of would like to see him on the Padres just to see like change of scenery. I always like seeing guys go from team to team. If you're a Royals fan, you won't want to see that because that's like their favorite player of all time. But I tend to agree that I think Hosmer is going to go back to the Royals. I've kind of changed my tune on that, even after getting an actual offer from the Padres, just because if you're getting more money and an easier road to the playoffs and you're going to be beloved there forever, you're going to go down in their version of the Hall of Fame. How do you turn that down? I mean, I guess you got the San Diego weather. That's about it.
I was about to bring that up. Do not joke about it. I was literally about to say San Diego, it's right now 69 degrees out, and it's 9 in Kansas City. That's all my argument was.
So that's if you're doing like a little pros and cons, if you're listing all those things out, that's the pro if you're going to the Padres. But I don't think there's many other pros because you're not getting the money. And unless you want to change the scenery in some nice weather to finish off your career with, I don't really see the point. So I think it makes more sense to go to the Royals. I do like, though, how the Padres are swooping in on this. I'm a big fan of that.
They always do, it seems like, for these, guys that you wouldn't think they would be interested in, but then they extend an offer. So, yeah, Padres are going to Padre, I guess.
I could kind of just see, doesn't Eric Hosmer just look like a Cali guy? Like a guy who would enjoy himself in San Diego? He just looks like a San Diego guy to me. I don't know.
That's the thing about baseball. Like in the NBA, I would say, yeah, like those guys just want to go to warm weather cities where like they can build on their brand, but it's baseball. It seems to be a little bit different, but again, I could be totally wrong there, and he could just go to San Diego and fall in love.
Well, we thought
stay there.
We thought that was going to be the case with Stanton, and then he ended up going to New York, which is very not warm. So I hate to bring Stanton up because now we're probably going to have to listen to Graz talk about Stanton for another hour, but apparently he's dabbing. Graz is currently dabbing on the screen, so that's good. But I don't know if weather really matters as much as a lot of people think it does. So Hosmer probably going back to the Royals. If I just said gun to head for you, Zach, I think I'd do the same thing gun to head. So let's leave off here with the most depressing topic of all. That's the fact that JD Martinez just probably isn't going to sign anywhere till spring training. And my guess would be deep into spring training at this point. I don't know what this guy, it's all Scott Boras. It's not really JD's fault. He's got his agent, Scott Boras, in his ear telling him, no, you're going to wait and we're going to get this money no matter what. Meanwhile, Dave Dombrowski is sitting back like, we'll wait till spring training. We're not doing anything. We don't give a fuck. So you have this sort of standoff going on. And my worst fear is that some random team is going to swoop in. Maybe the Blue Jays. They still need an outfielder. Maybe the Diamondbacks, maybe just the Giants. They still need an outfielder. They can shift that around, put McCutchen in center, and then put JD in right or left. So I don't know. It's the whole situation's scary to me as a Red Sox fan because I think they've put themselves into a corner where they need to sign JD to make some sort of run this year. But then you got to look at it the other way. This is a topic that we've talked about a lot where maybe they're just waiting till the next offseason, till next year's offseason, like a lot of teams are, because there's going to be some big fish in the sea for that. So the whole JD Martinez saga continues to suck. Zach, what are your thoughts on it?
I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think JD Martinez is overvaluing himself? Obviously, it's coming from Boras, but he's making this out to be like he's a Bryce Harper, Manny Machado level free agent. And maybe that's just because the free agent class is pretty underwhelming this year. What do you guys think about that?
I got this. I answer this every single way with what contract. He himself does not deserve that money, but the year he last year values him at that money.
Yeah.
The numbers back it up. So, but he himself does not deserve that, and that's what's taking so long. So, like, Bryce Harper is going to get a ton of money, and we're going to be okay with it because it's Bryce Harper, right? Because we know what he does and consistently does it. But with Martinez, he just had this great single year where he literally hit 30 home runs in a couple months, and you're like, oh my God. And so he's going to wait as long as possible to get as much money as possible because he might know himself that he might not be able to do that ever again.
I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very fair take. His season that he had last year, by far the best of his career. There's a reason that the Tigers were like, yeah, we'll trade you for they got nothing in return for this guy. They got nothing back for JD. So they were willing to part ways with him for virtually nothing. And the Diamondbacks, I know there's still the possibility that they'll bring him back, but as of right this second, it doesn't even look like they're willing. They just saw him tear the cover off the ball, hit 40 home runs in like 2 months, and they're still not offering him that money. So what's that say?
Yeah, I think it's going to backfire on Martinez the way he's broaching this because I think teams are going to be fed up and teams are going to seek other options. As you saw with the Giants, them getting McCutchen, to me, I know they could add Martinez to that as well, but it's saying we're not going to wait for you. We're going to go out and get someone else because, what you're asking for is ridiculous. You're holding out. You're a Boras client. And it seems like Dombrowski is starting to get sick of it as well. I mean, he was quoted today saying, I've never seen a market go this slow. So he's obviously, not on the same page as Martinez, right. And it's going way slower than he would have thought. So right now, I think it's gonna backfire on Martinez the way he's broaching this because I think the Red Sox, at some point they're going to say, we're fine with our current roster. JD, good luck, find that deal someplace else. And I don't know if that deal's out there for him.
So, and since it's an updated topic now, I mean, we're probably still not going to see a signing for a while, but I mean, we're sitting here with our thumbs up our ass trying to wait for this guy to sign somewhere. Is there any update on your pick to see like where he goes? If you had to pick someone, do you still think the Red Sox are going to be that team?
It's so hard right now because there's just no definitive information coming out of any camp. Dombrowski's hush. JD Martinez is like, oh, I'm going to wait till spring training to sign now. I think at the end of the day, he goes back to the Diamondbacks. I hate to say it as a Red Sox fan, but I just think they're almost more desperate than the Red Sox, if that makes sense. Yeah. Just because, as you said, the Red Sox will be in for those guys next year while the Diamondbacks probably won't be, just based on their franchise and how they're run. So I hate to say it, but I think the Red Sox, we might be going into next season with the current roster or maybe one or two small signings, but not JD Martinez.
There's a 5-year deal on the table right now for JD Martinez, which I'm assuming is probably roughly around 20 mil a year. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the money value is roughly 100 mil for that 5 years. And that's what he should be getting. That might even be too much because he's 30. He's already 30 years old. I have been a big proponent of just get this guy on the team, just sign him by all means possible. But it comes to a point where it's like, all right, fuck this. Like, I'm not waiting forever to sign you. Just let someone else get you. JD is not going to win this team a World Series. He's simply just going to make this team more watchable. That's where the point that I've been coming from all along is he is the power. You've been wanting power for all of last year. That's what we were complaining about all year. There's no power in this lineup. He gives you that power. I just don't think 7 years is what we should be giving this guy. So there's a lot of pros and cons to weigh with him too, but the whole situation is just so shitty. I don't think he's coming to the Red Sox. I think that it makes the roster too complicated. You're going to have to do something with Hanley. That becomes a whole new situation because the outfield's too crowded. Your best bet is to put JD at DH, which he doesn't want to do. He wants to be a corner outfielder. The situation becomes way too complicated with JD. I want him on the team. I just don't see a world where it happens.
Yeah, I think we're echoing the sentiment of a lot of Red Sox fans after the Stanton trade happened. A lot of Red Sox fans were like, we have to get Martinez now to answer, Yeah,
it was like panic. It was panic is all it was.
It was clearly panic. And now that it's sort of worn off and Martinez is being sort of a hardo about his contract, to put it in other terms, not that we don't need this guy, but I would be fine with them not signing this guy, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, looking back on my thoughts before, I was so heavy towards Martinez, like, we need him. And it's a lot of what you just said. It's that panic, that post-Stanton, it's PTSD, post-traumatic Stanton disorder. That's pretty much what happened with JD. And now I'm reflecting on that, like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Like, we really don't need this guy on the roster. If we have to go into next season with no JD, it's not the end of the world. I think all I really wanted as a Red Sox fan is to at least inquire about the guy. Make sure there's at least just a deal on the table. But if he and Boris are going to be so defiant where it's like, no, we're not accepting your 5-year offer worth over 100 mil, maybe we don't want him after all.
Yeah, at least the Red Sox have a deal on the table for this guy. I mean, that's what people were pissed about with Stan. Dombrowski said we were never interested in this guy. It's like, oh, why aren't you interested? He's one of the best power hitters of this generation. That's what we're missing. So, we have a deal on the table. Whether he says yes or no, that's on him and his agent. But, at least we inquired and made an offer. I agree with you there.
Yeah, I think a lot of the JD mania simply came because we didn't think there was any offer. We didn't think the Red Sox were doing anything. It's clear that they are. Dombrowski, there was this sort of misconception that Dombrowski wasn't making any sort of effort to do anything. But I think that's exactly that is a misconception. And I think we all sort of owe Dombrowski an apology because he has clearly been doing things behind the scenes. It's just been a little bit quiet as the rest of the offseason has been. So that's the JD update. I certainly hope by next episode we have some sort of at least an inclination of where he's going to go. But I don't think there's much hope for that right now. Let's move on to Graz's mailbag. Graz says he has a little mailbag question for us, so I'll hand it to you, Graz.
I do, guys. By the way, I don't know when you guys became the big losers of like small market teams. We're like, well, at least we put an offer on the table. You're the goddamn Red Sox. Go pay the man. Sack up and pay the man. You're gonna hit.
It's not the money to me. It's the years.
Yeah.
I told 5 years is pushing it. 5 years is where I can be like, okay, I'll take 5 years of JD Martinez. When you start getting to the I don't want a 37-year-old JD Martinez on the Red Sox. I want no part of that.
You're right. I agree with you guys. I'm just saying, like, the money thing is comical for me.
Yeah, okay. No, I agree.
You ready for the mailbag question? Coming off the Twitter account, my friend Anthony Adi, great Yankees fan, new sports gambler. He just started. Ooh. And it's going very well for him, which it won't in a couple of weeks.
Good luck. Yeah. Best of luck.
He asked, question for the pod. Jacoby Ellsbury for Ian Desmond, bad contract swap. Infinite help for the Yanks, outfield depth for the Rockies, just in case Blackman leaves or gets hurt or Cargo gets hurt. Who says no?
Who says no? Zach, you want to start with this one?
I love when people propose trades and they say it with like, who says no? Like Bill Simmons will do that on Twitter with like a shitty ass trade. He'll be like, who says no? I'm like, I mean, both teams will probably say no because it's a shitty ass trade. I am like anti Jacoby Ellsbury, so I don't know why the Rockies would do that. I think Desmond, while his contract is bad, I think he has way more upside still. He's very versatile, and he doesn't I can't say he doesn't get injured because he got injured last year, but he's way less injury prone than Jacoby Ellsbury. I mean, Jacoby Ellsbury to me is like on the road out. I know he had a good season last year in terms of what he did the previous year, but I think Yankee fans would love to see him out the door. And if they could get Ian Desmond for him, I mean, that's a huge pickup for the Yankees in my mind.
Yeah, after doing 20 seconds of thinking, I think the Rockies say no instantly. The Yankees, I think, would take that in a heartbeat. I actually, because Ian Desmond, first of all, is younger. I know it's only by 2 years. I think Ian Desmond's 32. Ellsbury's pushing 35. So you got that aspect. I know it's not a big difference, but Ian Desmond has had the better year recent. Like his past 5 years compared to Ellsbury's last 5 years are way better. I know he was hurt a lot of last year, but you got to believe he's going to bounce back in some capacity this year. And if you're the Rockies, I know you're saying like depth and all this stuff, but Ian Desmond plays way better to Coors Field than Jacoby Ellsbury does. Jacoby Ellsbury still might not hit the ball out of Coors Field. So you got that part of it. In the outfield, you got Blackman, you got Cargo, has Cargo been signed yet, actually? I don't even know if Cargo's a free agent, isn't he? So maybe that's an issue. You can look that up while I talk. But
they got Dahl. He's coming back, right?
I was just about to say Dahl. So he had his rookie year last year, right? I believe, and I think he was hurt a lot too. You got Gerardo Parra. I think he's still on the team. He had a good year last year. Cargo's a free agent. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's still out there with a lot of articles with him and Mark Reynolds being mentioned.
Cargo actually could go to the Blue Jays too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just thinking of outfielders that would fit in with them. He's
Graz, the way you and your friend tried to rationalize that trade, saying the Rockies would get some outfield depth.
Yeah,
Jacoby Ellsbury. That's the biggest Yankees homerism I've ever heard. Like, who says no to that? Probably the Rockies because you're fucking giving them Jacoby Ellsbury.
The other thing is, I could see Ian Desmond going to the Yankees and hitting like 35 bombs with 100. Like I could totally see Ian Desmond doing that. He just looks like a Yankee.
You guys are forgetting multiple things. One, because I remind myself every 3 days because I like to do that. The Yankees got Stanton for nothing, so it is possible, and anything under Cashman is possible. But in all actuality, you'd have to throw in a couple prospects of the Yankees' quality prospects to get that done. For me, I would do that. It fills a need. And remember, those 35. Of course you would
do that.
Yeah.
Oh, as from a Rockies perspective or Yankees?
From a Rockies perspective, from a Yankees perspective, okay. I'm saying this. But you'd have to throw in a couple prospects that they'd be interested in and probably take some of the contract, that kind of stuff. But for the Yankees, you could get Ian Desmond hitting ninth doing all of that. Remember that.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world. I would say yes. I would force trade it like you do in the show.
I mean, the Rockies would say no quicker. It would make your head spin how fast the Rockies would say no to that. Now that I really think about it. So, and I'm not Ian Desmond. He's past his prime too. I mean, both guys are past their prime. I just think Jacoby Ellsbury is Ian Desmond's coming off of an injury-riddled year, and he's still less injury-prone than Jacoby Ellsbury. Jacoby Ellsbury, you know that SpongeBob thing? It's that guy who always hurts himself. He's like, oh, like what? I wake up, I break my arms, and then I go to bed, I break my leg. It's something along those lines. That's Jacoby Ellsbury. That's what I think of. So he's made out of paper mache.
Everything's coming up Graz right now, though. So I feel like the next time we record, this trade will have gone down.
It'd be exact trade too.
Do you guys want the other mailbag question?
Yes.
The other mailbag question comes from my group chat, and it was a disrespectful thing said during after some adult beverages. My friend asked a Red Sox fan over or under 101 home runs for the current Red Sox roster this year total.
Well, how many did they have last year? That's the question.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm asking you guys. You guys got to do some research for the show too.
I didn't even know that was a mailbag question. So how can I research something that I didn't even know was going to be fucking asked?
It's on the producer. I just thought of it now.
Okay.
My first instinct.
How many homers are we talking here?
My first instinct, that has to be over, right?
It
like
does.
Over 100.
Well, yeah, 101. So they had a total of. This is bad because this is going to take a while for me to fucking look up. Give me a second here. So they had a total of 100. Oh, they had 168 homers last year.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously over.
Okay.
Is your group chat just full of Yankees fans and you just want to throw it in our face? Like, is that what the mailbag is? It's just a Homer mailbag?
No, it's half and half Yankees and Red Sox fan. The real reason I want to bring up that ridiculous thing is, do you think the Red Sox will have over under their home runs from last year?
So 168. Let's see. What have they done this offseason except nothing? That's a tough ass question. I'm gonna go over though. I think Mookie Betts, his homer total will rise. I think Bogarts is gonna have a comeback year. Maybe Jackie Bradley Jr., Benintendi. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I think actually they hit like around the 200 mark this year, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would say over as well. I'd say like 180 range. 168. I mean, weren't they like one of the last teams in baseball in home runs?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they hit plenty of doubles, but they couldn't hit any out of the park. So
Devers will hit some home runs too.
Devers too. Yeah, he's a home run guy. So you add him to the lineup. Your fucking guy was Sandoval for a lot of last year. So you're replacing Devers there. Yeah. So I'll go with that. I think it's going to be around the 200 mark. We got anything else, Graz?
No, I'll take the under though, just so we all have our thing on it, just to be disrespectful because I hate the Red Sox.
The 101. Now I feel like such an idiot thinking like it was even a possibility. Imagine if a team hit 100. Yeah, no.
That's the scary part.
Imagine if a team hit 100 homers, like a team.
Stan and Judge will hit 100 home runs themselves.
Yeah, totally, no doubt. Okay, so that's the mailbag. I think we're just going to leave off here, as we always do, with Graz's one big thing. I don't know if you have one prepared, so I'm very interested what this is.
I always have something prepared. My one big thing, Graz, to finish it off, Graz's big thing. Yeah. I want to say congratulations to the new Japanese Hall of Famer, Hideki Matsui, who received 90% of the votes and is in the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame. One of my favorite Yankees of all time. Go Godzilla.
He's one of my least favorite Yankees of all time. Anytime that guy stepped up to the plate,
it's a dinger.
I knew something bad was going to happen. Every single time.
Did they really have to vote him into the Japanese Hall of Fame? He is the Japanese prototype.
He's the MLB. Him and Ichiro. It's like, why even bother having that discussion? It's just like they are the Japanese Hall of Fame. It's like
Hideki Okajima might be in there. Who knows?
Right. Kaz Matsui. I swear Kaz Matsui got in there as well.
All right. Well, that was a good way to leave it off. I guess congrats to him. I thought he was in the Japanese Hall of Fame when he was born. So, all right. Well, we'll leave off on that note. Subscribe on iTunes because I think we're gonna have plenty more episodes coming up soon. We got to believe that it's gonna heat up at some point, right? So, Tater Talk on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe on there. Instagram, Tater Talk Pod. And it's the same on Twitter if you want to follow us there, Tater Talk Pod. And yeah, just do all the social media shit. So on that note, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.